Ari Lewis Show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports News Radio. Thank you for joining us. And anytime you can email the program, arilewishow@hotmail.com, or you can email the station Israel Sports News Radio at gmail.com. Of course, we have Lag BaOmer upon us in a few days, and also the holiday Yom Yerushalyaim. On the line to talk about those festive days is the head of Israel K. Back to the program, Benji Singer. Benji, how you doing out there?
Oh, yeah, I'll be talking about Yom Yerushalayim. Yeah. Also, you can look on israelk.org to find out everything that's going on over Lag BaOmer in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as we speak. I've just done the listing.
Okay, excellent. So let's first talk about Yom Yerushalayim. What was the significance of winning the Six-Day War all the way back in 1967?
Well, that's an interesting question. If we go back in history to 1967, actually we can answer this question from two perspectives, two angles. The first is Israel and the Middle East, and secondly, with regard to the Jewish world. The Six-Day War, which was between June the 5th to June the 10th, 1967, Israel, through launching a preemptive strike against the Egyptians, miraculously defeated their enemies, and Nasser was silenced. So the first aspect of the Six Days War was that we won a miraculous victory against our enemies, and that changed our strategic position in the Middle East. But secondly, and more interestingly possibly, is the effect the Six-Day War in 67 had on the Jewish world. The sense of unity, the pride, the togetherness, the achdut, the Baal Teshuvah movement, Esher Torah, etc. That was sparked. That started off after the 67 war. So it's fascinating. If you look at Jewish history in the 20th century, the Israel winning the 67 war not only had a big effect on Israel's strategic position in the Middle East, but also it created real wave movements in the Jewish world. The Baal Teshuvah movement started after the 67 war. We had access to the Kotel again, the Jewish identity, Jewish unity, Jewish awareness. That really was sparked off by the Israel winning the Six-Day War in 67. So again, you can look at the impact of the Six-Day War in two ways. Firstly, Israel's position in the Middle East, but secondly, the Jewish angle, the impact it had on Jewish identity in the Jewish world.
And after getting dominion over Jerusalem back in 1967, it is a question that comes up of why Jerusalem is so important to the Jews. It's consistently in political talk. So I'll ask you, why is Yerushalayim so important to the Jewish people?
Well, anyone, as we both do, anyone who learns Tanakh, the Bible, knows that Jerusalem is central. The Bet Mikdash, the temple, was the focus of our Jewish life. It was also the place where the Shekhinah, God's presence, was felt. It was the place where we brought korbanot, sacrifices. Rav Hirsch says the Hebrew word korbanot comes from a word lehit karev, to become close. Through bringing a korban, through bringing a sacrifice, we were able to become close to God. On the Chagim, on the three festivals of Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot, the Jews from all over Israel, they did Aliyah L'Regel. They came to Jerusalem. Pesach, the central part of the Pesach festival, was the Korban Pesach, that people ate together in their families on the 14th of Nisan. Yom Kippur, we think about Yom Kippur, we go to shul, we do Kol Nidre, we fast. But in temple times, the avodah, the work in the temple of the Kohen Gadol, of the high priest, that was the central feature of Yom Kippur. And also in our tefillot, in our prayers, we always talk about returning to Jerusalem. In Birkat Hamazon, in benching, in grace after meals, we talk about Jerusalem. And also the prophets talk about Jerusalem all the time, how the young and the old will be sitting together and dancing in the streets of Jerusalem. So, if you look at all of our literature, be it the Bible, be it prayers, be it poetry, it's all really a rabbinic literature, midrash. Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, is a central feature to that. So, Jerusalem, I always think Israel is the body of the Jewish people, and Jerusalem is the soul of the Jewish people.
Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports News Radio, joined by Benji Singer, head of israelk.org. So let's talk about some of the halachot connected with Yerushalayim.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Just a few. There's an interesting halacha that a husband can force his wife to live in Jerusalem. If a couple get married, and they get married in Tel Aviv or Ramat Beit Shemesh or wherever they live, and the husband says, I want to go live in Jerusalem, he can actually force his wife to live in Jerusalem. Now, I mentioned before, there's nowadays, after the destruction of the temple, it's only a minhag, it's a custom, But there is a strong custom on the festivals, on Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, to do Aliyah L'Regel, to come to Jerusalem, to come to the old city, to daven at the Kotel. And a third halacha, which is, it's after the destruction of the temple, it's not so relevant, but still to mention the concept of Maaseh Sheni, taking tithes, and Bikurim, eating first fruits. They were eaten in Jerusalem. So if you look throughout our literature, throughout our rabbinic literature, Jerusalem is central. Not just a place of gathering, but also a place where we can become close to Hashem. As I mentioned, the korbanot, the sacrifices that were offered in the temple, the idea of a sacrifice is lehit karev, a korban. The word korban, a sacrifice, comes from the word lehit karev, to become close. And it was felt in rabbinic literature that through bringing a korban, we become close to Hashem. So really, Jerusalem and the old city and the temple was where God's presence, God's Shekhinah, was felt more than anywhere else in Israel and in the Jewish world. And following on from the destruction of the temple and the korbanot, prayer took over. But the idea is, ideally, the korbanot in the temple, that was really the focus of Jewish life at the time, and the avodah of the Kohen Gadol and Yom Kippur, and generally of the Kohanim, of the priests and the Levites in the temple. That really was the focus. That was the central aspect of Jewish religious life.
And it's interesting because Jerusalem is not just home to the Jewish religion, but to other religions. So I wanted to get your perspective. Can Jerusalem be a city of peace with all these different religions that inhabit the city?
So, of course, Ari, as you know, as we all know, the word peace in Hebrew is shalom. And the root, shin, lamed, mem, is in the word Yerushalyaim. Now, Rabbi Sachs, as I wrote about in Israelk.org, Rabbi Sachs last week spoke in the Great Synagogue of how one challenge in the Middle East, especially in our age, is to be able to accept diverse views, diverse beliefs, different beliefs, and to try to create more of a multicultural society. And it's only when we accept and are willing to work with other religions and other faiths, then we can create a better present and future. And I do think that, in Jerusalem, we have the three main monotheistic faiths. You look at the old quarters of the different quarters of the old city. You've got the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter, the Jewish quarter. And I do think, as well as Judaism being a particularistic religion, we also are a universalistic religion. As well as being particularist, that we have to focus in on ourselves, we also have to look out and be mitaken olam, and we have to accept. And we have to be willing to work with other religions, the other monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And I think, yes, to answer your question, if we learn on the one hand to be proud of who we are, and through being proud of who we are and being confident in who we are, going out and being able to accept and work with other faiths, then I think there can be a future. As I said, also Yerushalayim is known as a city that connects all different people. It's just like the temple connected all different types of people. So Yerushalayim is a city that should be able to connect all different types of peoples, different types of faiths, different types of beliefs. And, if we learn to, on the one hand, be proud of who we are, and once we're self-confident in who we are, we can go out and accept other people's faiths and work together, then certainly Yerushalayim can be an Irshel Shalom. And as I said, the word Shalom is found in the word Yerushalayim. It's not just a coincidence, because in order to become the city it can really become, we have to learn to live in peace, shalom, with others.
Well said again. This is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports News Radio, joined by Benji Singer, head of Israelk.org. And last question for you, Benji. What are some of the things happening over Yom Yerushalayim to celebrate the holiday?
That's an interest. I'll be doing a listing, as usual, of what's happening throughout the evening and the day of Yom Yerushalayim on Israelk.org. Just a few things. For me, the highlight of Yom Yerushalayim is leaving work a bit early and going and standing by the Great Synagogue in Jerusalem, where you see all these different students from yeshivot and seminaries around Israel. What they do is they stay up the whole night. They start in the yeshiva seminary from the crack of dawn, and they travel to Yerushalayim, and they end up in the Kotel, where they dance and daven Mariv. It's a beautiful sight. So again, the highlight for me is being around the area of the Great Synagogue, around, I think, 4ish. I'll be writing the exact time when I'll be arriving there, on Israelk.org. There's also dancing, obviously, throughout the synagogues, in Yerushalayim in the evening of Yom Yerushalayim. Many go to Merkaz Rav Yeshiva in Kiryat Moshe. They daven Mariv there. There's a very special Hallel and davening there. And also, there are many other more, for those who want to celebrate more, maybe the more cultural aspect of Yerushalayim rather than the religious, there are many things going on, I think, on the Tachana Rishonah and other places. And I'll be doing a full listing on israelk.org. Just to finish off, Yerushalayim, unfortunately, it's become politicized, especially, recent days. But we have to remember, as I said, the word shalom is in the word Yerushalayim. And I think a challenge for many of us, especially religious Jews, is on the one hand, celebrating the fact that, we can go to the Kotel. Those of us living in Katamon, we're just 20 minutes away from where the Bet Mikdash stood. And we have to celebrate that. But you also have to remember, Yerushalayim has to be a city of shalom, where other religions, Islam and Christianity and other faiths can also celebrate the heritage. And I think that's the challenge for all of us moving forward.
And again, everyone can go to israelk.org and check out some of the festivities going on Yerushalayim. Benji Singer, thank you for being on the program here at the Ari Lewis Show on Israel Sports News Radio, and happy upcoming Hebrew birthday as well.
Thanks a lot, Ari.
Take care. Be well. Bye-bye.